Today I have a very special guest, Mahmoud, one of my students in the past and an outstanding delegate in many MUNs. Hello, thank you for joining me today, Mahmoud. How are you?
Hello, sir. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Mahmoud Deep. Recently just graduated through high school. As you said, I was your student 2 years ago, I believe. By the way, amazing teacher, one of the best I've ever had.
Thank you. So kind of you.
Uh, you're welcome. I've been to four MUN conferences, all in this year, actually. It was very spontaneous. Uh, Actually, just after my first conference, I just felt like I liked it so much, I just had to go again.
That's good. Great. Now, before just moving into MUN in just detail, I want to also know a little bit more about you, and also I'm sure that my audience and the subscribers are curious. By the way, I also recorded one podcast with Mahmoud, and if you haven't listened to that podcast, please feel free to watch it and also listen to it. The details will be in the comments in the description below. So you can just click and listen to it. It's amazing. All right, now tell us about your journey from just your home country to Turkey and then MUN. Tell us a little bit
Um,
more about Egypt and then coming to Turkey.
yeah, so as you said, I'm Egyptian, I'm from Egypt. In Egypt, while education there is a bit, I could say, lackluster in some fields. Uh, so my English education wasn't really the best. It wasn't all inclusive, but it just gave you the basics. However, like I improved my English through YouTube mostly when I arrived here in Turkey, and just my abilities just skyrocketed once I reached Turkey, basically. Now move fast forward like 4 years here in Turkey. I've been here 5 years, by the way. Fast forward 4 years, all my friends are going to MENs, and I'm wondering what is MEN like? Everyone's talking about this whole debating conference thing. It felt too serious. But then I didn't really have any intentions of going. I was just, how would I say this, peer pressured into joining by my friends because they were like, "Oh, we're all going. You have to go, please. It's gonna be so fun." And to my surprise, it was actually really, really fun. As I said, after the first conference, you can't help but go to others.
That's good. That's great. And also, something that also attracted my attention was the way you improved your English. And before just I ask you the next question about the MUN and your experiences, tell us a little bit more about it. Because when you came here, you developed your English so fast, and ultimately you could just express yourself in MUN. Tell us a little bit more about that journey.
The one thing that changed from when I was in Egypt until I came here is because my first year here, I didn't go to a school year. I just self-studied at home. So I had a lot more free time, basically. What I just did is I listened to a lot of podcasts and videos just on YouTube. It wasn't for the sake of learning English, it was just entertainment. But without realizing it, just listening, you pick up new words, you pick up accents, you pick up just new vocabulary and lingo in general. It even helped me to identify different accents and be able to understand them without having any issues.
That's good. Thanks for sharing. And I'm sure that a lot of Turkish students, a lot of students who are learning English would just benefit from this tip that you shared with them. Just listening to English podcasts would definitely help them just pick up the words and also develop their English unconsciously. Now let's get back to our MUN. All right, you mentioned that peer pressure and curiosity in the beginning just motivated you to participate in the MUN. Now tell us about your first experience, your first MUN. How did it go?
This is a question that uh, all my friends asked me once the conference was over. And let me tell you this, every person that goes to an MEN conference can relate to this. The first day you go in, you don't understand anything that's going on. You just see different people from different cultures, different places around the world. And you're like, what is going on? They're all like dressed up, they're all too formal. Am I in the wrong place? I feel like this is too serious for me. I'm very stressed. But then on the second day, or actually a bit after, I realized that everyone in that room with me, it was an all first timer committee. Everyone in that room with me had the same feeling, and everyone was just keeping up a facade that they were cool. But everyone was just internally stressing, and as I was.
That's good. And it's great that you mentioned that because then people don't share their emotions. And so imagine that I'm a first timer and I will be definitely just stressed out. But what you said also prepare the ones who haven't probably attended any MUNs to feel much better when they want to just join MUN for the first time. Now, after that first experience, I want you to now describe one of the most memorable moments from your MUN experiences in Turkey.
Oh, there's a lot actually, just because every MUN conference I go to is special and unique in its own way. And there's a lot of memories. But this one memory, it wasn't my first MUN actually. I picked up on the pace quite fast. It was a crisis committee. So in crisis committee, basically, if you don't know, is it's more immersive and more spontaneous. You can take actions, and these actions have their own consequences. That way, it's more like it involves you more and you see the result of your actions very frequently. So in this committee, the agenda was about some terrorist group, and it escalated to one of the countries joining that terrorist group. So as the delegate of Lebanon, I just suggested that that country be I just raised a motion for expulsion for that country from the UN. It was a very, very big thing to do. And luckily, it got approved by the chair board, and we went into voting procedure. Now, the way this works is you need a UN for an expulsion, you need a UN consensus, which consists of 80% of the attending countries to agree with you. Now, while it did not pass, I didn't reach the consensus. It was 76%. The results were 76%, meaning that one country was missing from us reaching our goal. The goal wasn't achieved, but it was very memorable.
That was great. And that was great that you mentioned it in detail. Awesome. Now, let's talk about the strategies that you just developed or the strategies that you found effective during the MUN conferences. And I'm going to just put it in this question. What strategies did you find the most effective during the MUN conferences?
Hmm. This is a uh, very broad question, but as someone who's only ever been to crisis committees, strategies is all you have to deal with. Um, Basically, as I said, in crisis, it's all about your actions. So you need to take strategies a lot into mind. One of the strategies that I always do is because in crisis committees, you kind of have to trick other people or to just get them where you want them to be, essentially, and if I could phrase it that way. So just allowing them to think that, how do I say this? That they have like they hold you, they have a grip of you, but then you just know you're leading them on essentially. So you give them something, you give the person something that they want, and in turn, you know what to expect from them. This also works in GA. In GA committees, it's all about just ideas and everything. So, but by giving someone, by making them hear something that they want to hear, you can expect what reply might come from them. It's all kind of like mind games, but letting someone letting someone hear what they want to hear will allow you to understand and predict what they will say.
That was really good points you mentioned. Now I'm curious about the skills that you developed in MUN and if you have ever used them in your school, in your academic studies, or in your personal life. Can you just share some with us?
Hmm. Well, I guess the two biggest skills would be negotiation and just uh, academic research in itself. Basically, if you don't know, in MUNs, you're always given a study guide. Um, but the study guide isn't always as detailed, but they give you, at the end, they always give you references, and you have to go search by yourself. And MUN just allows you to not take things for face value. It makes you want to research by yourself. I had a chairboard experience. In that chairboard experience, obviously, we're the ones writing the study guide. So what I had to do was about the Russo-Ukrainian war. I literally had to check Ukrainian records and translate them into English just to get an insight on what is happening.
Wow.
So it helps you just it gives you this knack to always search for the truth and find the truth by yourself instead of having it presented to you. Now, the other skill is negotiation skills, you could say. A common misconception is MUN is a debate competition, but it's not debate, it's more like negotiation because you want to reach an agreement with the other person rather than just overpower them.
Mhm.
Now, while this might not be as relevant as the research thing in daily life, however, you could say if you were haggling, for example, in a shop, it kind of allows you to be able to gain an upper hand, or just basically any conversation with any person, if you want to convince them of something, uh, it kind of gives you like a different way of thinking that you could convince them with.
That's good. And I really loved two skills that you just mentioned, negotiation and also research skills. Now, because when I just think about our lessons, when we had lessons, you were one of my really good students, as I mentioned in the beginning. I was wondering if you have ever used any negotiation skills that you developed in MUN in your classes, in your just lesson, in our lessons, let's say, or in other classes.
Oh, definitely, definitely so. Uh, Well, I could say it's all about just proving my point academically. Sometimes, this year especially, like uh, trying to prove my point to one of the teachers, for example. Obviously, uh, respect to any of the teachers, respect to all the teachers, because I'm not saying that some teachers might have some false ideas. I'm saying that the perspectives matter, essentially.
Yeah.
So to prove your perspective to a teacher, you can't really just lay it out flat because it's kind of disrespectful. Even if your idea is correct, it might be disrespectful. But through MEN and through these negotiation skills, you might be able to sugarcoat it and present it in a more like easygoing way, for example. The other application I could say is when I wanted to convince my teachers to have a free class. It always worked somehow.
Yeah, that's good. Loved it. All right, and also I want to know about public speaking skills because automatically in MUN you develop your public speaking skills. How did MUN help you personally improve your public speaking skills in your academic studies, in your personal life, and so on?
Well, MEN is all about public speaking. There's nothing in MEN in its core but public speaking. If you don't have public speaking, you won't be able to uh, put yourself much into it. However, it's all about confidence in the end. But I graduated as valedictorian, and honestly, the valedictorian speech was very, very stressful. I thought it was easy going until I reached the stage and I saw 700 people in front of me. It was really stressful. But I'd like to say that if I hadn't gone to MENs, I wouldn't be able to deliver such a strong speech as the one I did. It just allows you to not give in to stress or give in to peer pressure given by the people around you. There was this book, as I said, it's all about confidence and how you view yourself. There's this book called Psycho Cybernetics by Maxwell Waltz, I believe his name was. Its core idea is that you are what you believe you are. So the people around you see what you see in yourself. So if you see yourself as a confident person and not someone who gives into stress, if you see yourself as someone who is a strong character, who should be a strong character, it's what people see in you. It's your aura, the way you carry yourself. That helps you a lot in MENs especially, as this confidence is then translated into public speaking skills.
That was a really good point. It was very impressive. And congratulations, just on becoming a
Thank you, thank you.
valedictorian. And now I'm curious about your speech. If you have your speech, I'd love to hear it. And can you just share some points about your valedictorian speech?
Yeah, certainly. I don't really have my speech right now, but my speech was very unorthodox, if you could say. It had a lot of like metaphors. It was more like tips and advice or subliminal tips and advice to my peers and colleagues rather than it was thanks, because I just felt like, oh, I'm glad it's 12 years of education. I'm not just gonna get on stage and thank people. I want to leave an impact. I want to have some impact. And I also included a poem in it that had sort of similar ideas.
That's good. Can you share some of those pieces of advice with our just probably audience?
Certainly, it was all about just acknowledgement and moving on, or like acceptance. So I was just telling my peers and colleagues to acknowledge that they graduated, to acknowledge the fact that they've spent 12 years in school and all their efforts, all their hard work has been paid off, and this is the result. And I was just telling them not to, how do I say this? Not to dwell on it, but to move past it and accept it as part of their life now, as they have to face their future and make the most of it. As they once graduated high school, they'll be able to graduate university and lead a successful life afterwards.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing those invaluable pieces of advice with us. Now, I want to also receive more advice and your future plans as well. What common mistakes should new delegates avoid in MUN?
This is a very hard question. What common mistakes should they avoid? As I said earlier, one of the common mistakes is that you view yourself as someone inferior to the people around you. Confidence is all that matters. As I've been to four conferences, and as I said, one of them was a chairing experience. So I've been to three delegate experiences and one chairboard experience. As a chairboard, honestly, there were people in the conference that had more, like as delegates, they had more experience than me. Then I realized they respect my ideas more than they respect their own ideas. Why? Because they have this conception about you. They conceive you as as a person of authority, as a person whose words mean a lot. They take your word as gospel, essentially. It's just because of the way you carry yourself and the way you present yourself. Even if my ideas were worse than them, uh, it's just that my confidence was larger than theirs. And while it may not mean that I'm just a better, how do I say this, like a better person or a better person in negotiation or speaking skills than them, it means that I was able to convince them that I am on the same level as them, if not higher. It's all kind of like mind games. It's just, if you could say, if you see someone that acts like he's so much better than you, it kind of demotivates you. And it's that sense you have to not be demotivated and just accept that everyone is on the same level. It's just that the way you carry yourself is what determines it. And as I've been to four MUN experiences, I realized that experience only just means your knowledge of the procedure. It does not contribute or does not identify your skills at all. It's just how you view MUN itself and how you know the procedure. That's it.
That was really good. Again, thank you so much for sharing that advice with us. Now, I'm also curious, you recently had your graduation. Now, I'm sure that you have a lot of plans for your future. Now, tell us about your future aspirations related to MUN or your studies and your future career. Just we are curious about that.
While I'm not sure that MUN will become an integral part of my just how that is like post-university career, I do plan on keeping taking MUN conferences, as it's generally such a fun thing to experience. And if you're concerned about just the monetary investment part of it, it's very worth it. Just I thought the same, but it's very worth it. It's generally one of the best and most fun experiences you're ever gonna have. But as for my plans, um, for my career, I plan on going engineering, but that's kind of unrelated to MEN. But I do plan on taking the skills that I learned from MEN and applying them in my future career. And I also plan on taking a minor program in business, and hopefully that MUN experience will be able to help me. But as MUN in general, I wouldn't take myself as a very experienced person. I only have 4 experiences. Three of my experiences were delegate experiences, and in these experiences, I had 3 Best Delegate awards. So I just, as a future aspiration and a dream of mine, is to go 10 delegate experiences, 10 Best Delegate awards, which is a bit ambitious. I'm not gonna lie, but it motivates me. Honestly, it motivates me to do my best. It motivates me to study and just prepare every time.
That's great. That's awesome. And wishing you all the best. And I'm sure you can just achieve it because you are a very determined person, apart from being a great student, very determined, committed. So I'm sure that you will achieve it. Now, I'm also curious about your university. And are you planning to study in Turkey or in another country in the future? Or do you have any plans for your bachelor's, master's, or probably after that your PhD, or you want to just directly start your career?
Well, I haven't applied to many universities yet, as I'm specifically applying to public universities, so I'm waiting for the applications to open. But I do plan on studying here in Turkey. Uh, uh, my top list is a Middle East Technical University, Istanbul Technical University, and Yıldız Technical University. And then my other options are Bilgi, Koç, and Bahçeşehir. Uh, but we'll see how that takes us. Uh, After university, I do plan on taking a master's degree shortly after, and then starting my career. During my career, I might just take a pause to have PhD, but that's not really something that I've really thought about. But I do plan on having or taking a master's degree shortly after graduation.
That would be great. I keep my fingers crossed for you. All right,
Thank you.
that was just amazing. I really enjoyed every minute of this interview. As a last part of it, would you like to add anything, or would you like to just share any advice, any anecdotes, or anything else?
Let me give just some advice to the first timers or delegates who might be just a bit stressed. In the most simple way, just go in there and do your own thing. It's all you have to do. Just carry yourself as someone who is going inside the committee, who is attending this conference to achieve something big. You're achieving, or you want to make a change. This is why you're in this conference. Just have this energy with you, and it'll reflect on it'll reflect off of you onto other delegates, and it'll allow you to just enhance your academic performance and performance in general. Another thing is that make a lot of friends. MEN is firstly about, as I always say, MEN is always about fun, then it is about academic performance.
That's great. Thank you so much again. It was invaluable. I really appreciate it. By the way, as I also mentioned, I enjoyed this interview, like the one that we had
Thank you.
2, 3 years ago. That was also amazing. We had I remember, I'm going to share also one anecdote here. Mahmoud was the first student that I had, and I had the interview for my podcast with him. It was just amazing, and thank you. And the year that I was your teacher, you were just one of my great students. I really enjoyed our lessons. Very curious, very intelligent, I can say. And
It's an honor to be your student, sir.
seriously, using your time efficiently, and always surprised me with all your skills. And thank you so much. Again, thank you for this session. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I don't take
Have
your
a good
time
day.
anymore. Thank you. Take lots of care, and I'm
It's
looking
completely fine.
forward to having
It's a pleasure to be here.
another interview with you in the future. Probably
I'll be
after
waiting. I'll be
university.
waiting, sir.
That would be great. All right. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.